my name is Brooke Custis and I'm the principal of Creekside Elementary. Welcome to our 23-24 Career Day at Creekside Elementary. This is a wonderful event that's organized by Mrs. Mary Donna Etcher and our FRC, Miss Sophie Newton, where we bring in all of our community partners and our students get a chance to see all the exciting employment opportunities in Hardin County.
My name is Jayma. I own a salon called Moxie J's, and this is my helper Emma. You guys want to say hi to her? Hi. How many of you all have been to the salon before? You guys have? What's your favorite part about going to the salon? Yeah, oh my gosh, mine too. Doesn't it feel so good? What's your favorite part? Yeah. You just get to relax at the salon, right? What's your favorite part? When they curl your hair, it makes you feel good, right? Okay, so that leads me to my next topic. What do you guys think my most used tool at the salon is? What's yours? Yeah. A razor? Clippers? Shears. I have those up here if you guys want to look at them. But I do use those a lot, but they're not my most used tool. What about you? A comb? A mirror, that's it. What do you guys think my main goal is for every client? To make them happy? To make them look good? Make them feel satisfied? So yeah, so all those kind of correlate together. So my main goal is to make sure that they feel good about what I've done and that they feel good about themselves. And one of the ways that I do that is I teach mirror meditation with some of my clients. So has anybody ever heard of mirror meditation? Have you heard of it? What is it? It's a practice. So what you do is we're actually going to do it. It's when you look in the mirror and you try to connect with yourself a little bit better to help build confidence within yourself. Because I could cut your hair perfectly or I could do your makeup perfectly, however you wanted, but if you all don't feel good about yourselves, then nothing I do really matters, right? Okay, so I'm going to have everybody come up and grab a mirror. And then once you have a mirror, I'm going to have you guys sit back on the floor and I'm going to have you find one or two people to kind of sit in a circle with. All right, I'm going to have you guys take a deep breath. Okay, now put your mirror up in front of your face. And I want you to wiggle your eyebrows. And then I want you guys to look in your eyes and I want you to blink your eyes a few times. And I want you to notice the shape of your eyes. And I want you to look at your nose. And then I want you to smile really big. And when you smile, I want you to look into your eyes as you're smiling. And you guys are going to repeat after me. I am a cool kid.
I am a cool kid.
I like the way I look. I'm proud of who I am. I'm confident. I can be anything I want to be when I grow up. And I'm worthy of making all my dreams come true. Can anybody tell me why it's important to have confidence? That is a perfect answer, actually. So when you have confidence, you kind of teach your brain that you can do anything as long as you work hard. So when you believe in yourself, it really sets the pace for your future, right? So coming to the salon is a really good part of a self-care routine because when you look good, you feel good, right? Yeah? Okay, so I'm going to have you guys bring your mirrors back up here.
Mine back up behind Addison.
And as you put them up, I actually have cards here for you guys to take home.
Listen. Here.
And this way you can practice this at home and you can teach your friends and family. Does anybody else have any cool questions for me? How many different hairstyles? So I specialize in a few things. I do hair extensions. Does anybody know what that is? Yeah, you guys all know what it is. So I do hair extensions. I do hair color, which is lightener, so like blonde colors and brunettes. And I've recently started to do a lot of redheads, which is fun. And then I do a lot of bridal work. Have any of you all ever been in a wedding? Yeah, they're fun, aren't they? Anybody else have any questions?
How many times of makeup do you use a day?
So I don't use makeup every day, other than on myself, of course. But I do a lot of makeup at the weddings. And then recently I did prom for the high schoolers, which was fun.
What got you into makeup?
Oh, this is a fun question. So when I was in high school, I had no idea what I wanted to be like at all. And they had a hair show out of town, and my friend asked me to go and model in it. And there was a hairdresser there, and she cut all my hair off, like up to my shoulders, and she colored it like really bright orange. I looked like the sun, okay? And when I got home, I looked crazy. But I had so much fun while I was doing it, and there was a lot of hairdressers around me. And I noticed that growing up, I was always kind of doing hair with my friends and stuff. And so I decided to go from there. I had a lot of fun after doing that hair show.
Which hairstyle do you like the most?
Which what?
Hairstyle.
I like a lived-in blonde. Do you know what that is? It's like a grown-out blonde color. Looks like sun-kissed when you've been at the beach all day. Does anybody else have any questions?
What are the steps you
Oh, let's see. So when I first started out, I worked at a salon in the mall. Everybody's been to the mall, right? And I did product sales. I started out as like the sales girl. And then I had to go into beauty school, which is 1,500 hours, so it's roughly about a year. And you learn all the stuff there. And then when you get out of school, you have to work under somebody. So I was somebody's assistant for a really long time. And then I got to do hairdressing on my own. And then eventually I got to open up my own. But yeah, I had to do a few things first, but it was fun.
What's your favorite color?
My favorite product? Have you guys ever heard of texture spray? Do you know what texture spray is? Yeah. Oh, or dry shampoo. Does anybody use dry shampoo yet? Yeah. That's fun. Does anybody else have any questions?
Do you have boys going to your school?
Yeah, I do. Not as many as I used to because I've started to specialize in more services for women, but I do have other stylists who take men's services. Does anybody else have any questions, or is that it?
How many mirrors do you have?
How many mirrors do I have? I have a lot of mirrors. I honestly have no idea. How many people what?
Have you given a perm to?
One. I don't like a perm. They're not fun. They stink. Have you guys ever gotten one?
Oh, I wanted one.
Yeah. They do hurt your hair. They're not good for your hair.
So how long have you been at hairstyle?
I've been a hairdresser for 10 years. I know, it's a long time.
How many schools have you been to?
This is my first one. I've actually had a lot of fun.
I have a question.
Okay.
What brought you into
So right now I'm
shadowing her. So like if I want to do her job when I get out of school, I will know what to do.
She's in high school right now. So she's trying to learn too if this is what she wants to do.
Well, welcome to Career Day. My name is Mrs. Bronner. I know I do see some familiar faces, but I also see some new students too to Creekside that I'm not sure. I guess this is your first year here, so that's great. Well, today we are going to be talking about careers in aviation. Okay, we're going to be talking a little bit about the different things that you could have a career in as far as aviation goes. But a little bit of background information about me is my name is Mrs. Bronner, obviously, and I taught school for 27 years. Because I was last year your PE teacher. And then prior to that, I was your art and music teacher.
I missed you a lot.
You missed me a lot. Well, I missed you too.
I remember your face. I just forgot your name.
You just forgot my name, but now you remember. So I became interested in aviation several years ago when Mr. Collins became my neighbor, because he is a professional pilot, and he kind of said, "Hey, do you want to go flying? I have a little airplane at the Elizabethtown Airport. Maybe we could go see what things are all about." I was like, "Oh yeah, let's do this." And so then my daughter and my son went up in flight. My grandmother went up in flight. It was just like a whole family affair. And I became very, very interested in flight just in general. And he also offers what is called ground school. That's like going to school to become a pilot, where he is the teacher and we would have to study and do different types of lessons, and he would explain different parts about the airplane. And we had a pilot's handbook that we had to go through, and he would teach us lessons using this pilot's handbook. So that's a little bit about why and how I became interested in aviation. I do not have my pilot's license yet. Okay, I'm still working on that, and it's a long process, because for some people, you have to work around having a regular job and being able to fit this in as far as doing your schooling and getting your hours of training that's necessary. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Collins. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself.
Okay, my name is Stanley Collins, and I'm originally from Marietta, Georgia. I grew up in Marietta, Georgia, and I graduated from college, and I started taking flying lessons. I just went to an airport and I started taking flying lessons. I took flying lessons for 10 years. I got all my licenses, my private instrument, commercial multi-engine flight instructor, airline transport pilot license. And I started giving out my resumes, and I got hired by American Eagle Airlines in 1988. And I flew with American Eagle for 24 years. I was a captain for 24 years.
Wow, you're that old?
I'm that old. And then the last 7 years I flew for American Airlines. I flew the Boeing 737 for American Airlines out of New York. And I flew all over the United States, Canada, Mexico, and the Bahamas.
Oh. Great, why don't you the Bahamas?
Yes, and so let me tell you, the airline would pay me, they would give me and another captain a $100 million airplane, and we would fly all over the country. We would do different trips. We'd be in San Francisco, Seattle, New York, Chicago, and Miami. We're all over the country. They would pay all of our meals, all of our hotel rooms, and everything. And I just loved my career.
Oh, so you would just get everything free, basically.
You know, you earn it. As an airline pilot, you're working. You're flying the airplane, and you have to follow all the rules that the airline has. It's very, very regulated what you can and can't do as an airline pilot. But all I'm telling you is that I really, really, really enjoyed my job. And then I retired in 2018, and now I do this a lot. I go around to different schools. There was a Girl Scout troop that came 2 weeks ago, and I did a tour of the airport with them. And I take people flying, old, young, and in between. Anybody that wants to go flying. I really enjoy life, and I love doing things with aviation. So I'm going to give it back to Bethany.
So we're going to talk a little bit about different career opportunities for people who are interested in flying, in flight, aviation kind of things. So do anyone of you want to give a guess as to some different careers, jobs, that would be or could be associated with aviation? You already know the pilots. So is there anything else? Levi? The co-pilot, obviously, because if you look up here at this Cessna, there is actually 2 sets of controls. So in larger planes, you sometimes can have 2 pilots, and then sometimes there's even a pilot that might be like in the jump seat that is there as a 3rd pilot, or maybe even 4 in some cases. Yes? The flight attendant. So important because we've got to have those snacks, the peanuts, or maybe possibly a Sprite or something. And then on longer flights, like international flights, they're also there to bring you sometimes breakfast or lunch or your supper. And they have to pass out like trays of food, don't they? And there's people that prepare that food. They have to cook that food somewhere and then board that onto the aircraft itself. So those would be people that would be important to making everything happen. Anything else?
I don't like the security work.
The security workers, absolutely. Not only are there security workers inside the actual airport itself that would scan your bags and scan you and make sure that everything and everybody are safe, there's also people that have to maintain the safety of the aircraft as well. What about the people that we would talk to through a headset? The pilots have a headset so that they can communicate, and they are not communicating with Papa John's and Domino's on to order a pizza. We are actually communicating with people who are looking at radar screens, and they know where every plane is in the sky. They know where we are. They know how fast we're going. They know what our destination is. Does anybody know what you call those people? The control tower. That is true. We have to communicate with them because they have to tell us what to do and if it's safe for us to land our aircraft. The communication that has to happen through the air traffic control tower.
Isn't there somebody that, like, when the helicopter comes back, isn't there somebody that messes with the wheels? Like, teaches you or something?
On any aircraft, after a landing, they have to do inspections. So those people that are in charge of the maintenance of the aircraft would be your mechanics and your safety personnel to make sure that everything is the way that it needs to be before it is able to take off again. Which also includes, does it have enough gas? When you go up in an aircraft, sometimes the pressure in your ears does change. And sometimes it will take, like if you go at very high altitude, it kind of pops, and it sometimes the pressure of your eardrums makes your ears kind of hurt a little bit. Ooh, let's see. Yes, question.
What happens if, like, the plane's about to crash? What do the people say? Like, in
Well, we've never had that happen. Like a dangerous kind of thing that's going on. They're trying to maintain safety, so the air traffic control would be trying to calmly calm down everybody. They would be trying to get critical information from everybody about how fast we were going and then give us some directions on what to do and how to do it. Okay, so to maintain safety, to make sure that everyone is safe and that we can get the aircraft down safely. Yes?
I mean, there's some people that put down cones, like when you're driving, like when you're about to take off. What are the people called? The ones that place down the cones?
Well, the people that maintain the runway and use batons to kind of direct where the aircraft needs to pull up to, like when we're getting ready to hook up to the terminal so the people can get on or off. they have a special name. They are called marshals. And they use batons, which are like fancy flashlights, and they direct the pilot and can show them how to navigate the plane and put it where he needs it to be put. Yes?
What about the people who like take the pets to the airplane?
Take the baggages to the airplane?
No, the pets. Like if someone brings their pet.
If someone brings their pet, so like you have service dogs who can actually stay in the aircraft next to its owner because they're doing a service that could be a medical service kind of thing. And then you have transport of animals, like you're just wanting to get them somewhere else, and those go in the cargo bay, and they are monitored under the cargo bay where the luggage and those things are.
But who are the people who take them to there?
Those would just be your baggage assistants that get your baggage from
Rampers, the
rampers.
Rampers.
Okay? All right.
Who is that photo taken?
This photo, I'm not sure where it was taken, but it is actually the inside of a Cessna, which is a small aircraft, very much similar to the one that Mr. Stanley has at the Elizabethtown Airport. And what you see up here are this is the dashboard, kind of like, you know, in a car, it has all kinds of controls. The aircraft has controls as well, and that's what it looks like inside the cockpit of the aircraft.
When was it taken?
I do not know when that photo was
That
taken.
was taken at Sporties.
Like when? Like what year?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what year, Bob.
Maybe 25 years ago.
Long time ago. But it still kind of looks, the inside of the small aircraft looks very, very similar to this. All right, well, it has been wonderful seeing you all today. We hope that all of you have an interest in some type of career in aviation.
And I'm actually a community nurse for Baptist Health, which means I get to go out in the community and teach people how to do hands-only CPR, but I also get to teach them in schools. We do some education on like nutrition and how to keep germs out of your body. We also do education on drugs and alcohol and vaping and all that stuff in the schools. So you all get knowledge about that stuff. But one of my jobs is to teach hands-only CPR, so I'm here to do that for you all today and help you understand what to do in an emergency. So you are a little more prepared. Hopefully you won't come across emergencies, but sometimes people do run into emergency situations, and you never know when you'll need to call 911. My daughter is 18, and she actually had to call a couple weeks ago for someone that she was around. And so you just never know. So it's good to know what to do in those situations, okay? So if you come across somebody that's unresponsive, when you're out and about, it could be a grandparent, a parent, it could be somebody you don't even know out in the community. Maybe you're out at a ball game or something like that, and you come across somebody that's unresponsive, they don't appear to be breathing, or they're struggling to breathe, or they're, something like that, or they're just not responding to you at all. One of the first things you want to do is go up and try to arouse them a little bit, and just kind of see if you can get them to wake up and see if you can get any response out of them. Make sure that they're in a safe environment, okay? So if, for instance, you came across somebody that's on the sidewalk and maybe their legs hanging out in the street, then that's not really a safe environment, right? Their legs are going to get run over, right? So you kind of want to, help scoot them over into a safe environment. But immediately, if you can't get a response out of somebody, or they still seem to be struggling when they're responding, but still seem to be struggling, what do? What do you do in that situation? Raise your hand. What do you think?
You should put your hands like this and go on your chest and beat it.
What do you do before that?
Just like snap on the side of the face,
Try to arouse them, okay? But I'm thinking of something else. You call 911. That's right. First thing you need to do is call 911, because you can't save them alone, right? Right? Usually, if something's caused someone's heart to stop or them to be unresponsive, you can do some things to help them stay alive while the ambulance is on their way. But they're probably going to need some medications and treatments and procedures or things outside of that to actually make sure that they're okay long term. And so you want to call 911 first because you want them to be on the way, right? You don't want to be alone working on a patient all by yourself, right? Because there's a lot of things we can't do. Even me as a nurse, I don't have all the medicines and stuff to take care of somebody on my own. So you call 911, and the good thing is, if you all have cell phones, parent cell phone, somebody's phone around that you can call with, then you can call and put them on speakerphone, and they'll talk you through any kind of emergency situation while you're actually working on a patient, okay, while you're taking care of them. So home phones and stuff may not have that, but you can still call from a home phone. Or one of the kids was like, what if I can't get a hold of a phone? She mentioned going to a neighbor to help them get called and getting some help. That's also acceptable, to get somebody else to help you in a situation too. So, or ask someone else to call if there's more than one person around, okay? So you get 911 on the phone, and they're going to talk you through a few things. They're going to make sure you try to arouse them and make sure that they wake up and kind of see where they are and things. But they're going to tell you to look, listen, and feel, okay? So we already looked for our surroundings, right, to make sure that they're in a safe spot, right? But then we're also going to look at their chest to see if it rises or falls a little bit when they're breathing. So you can kind of watch that. If you watch somebody real quietly, you can sort of see if their chest is rising or not, okay? You can also listen to them breathe. So you open up their airway a little bit and see if you can hear them or feel it, them breathing, okay? So you look for that, and if they're not breathing, then the last thing you want to do is feel, okay? And you're going to feel their pulse. Okay, you're going to check their pulse. So they may tell you to check it here in their neck. Depends on their age and stuff too. They may tell you to check it here in their neck because that one's working more likely working than any other spot in their body because it's close to your heart. Okay, but the easiest way for me to teach you all to check a pulse is really right here. If they have a pulse in their wrist or in their legs, then they're going to have blood flow good to all of their body. Okay, so if you can actually feel in here. So if you want to take your finger and you run it down your thumb, okay, so that's an easy way to remember. Run it down your thumb and right to where you get to the creases in your wrist right there, all the way over to the far side of it. You feel right here and push down just a little bit. You'll probably feel a little bump. You feel a bump? Okay, if you do? Okay, if you don't feel it, it's okay. Just keep trying. Little spots around your hand, and you'll eventually start feeling it. Yeah, so that's your radial pulse, okay? Pretty easy, huh? So, and if you all go do jumping jacks and then you feel it a few minutes later, it's going to be faster. Okay, so that's your heart rate. It's going to go faster when your heart's working harder, right, than when it is when we're resting right now. So they'll have you check the pulse, okay? And if the pulse, if there's no pulse and there's no breathing, then that's when you're going to need to do CPR, okay? So they'll talk you through all of this, right? When you call, you don't have to memorize all this stuff. Anything you do is going to be better than not doing anything at all. Because basically what's happening is their heart, all the blood's stuck in their heart, and it's not getting to your brain and your body. Okay? So just by doing hands-on CPR, you're pushing on the heart, and you're basically making the heart work for them, by pushing on it, and it's making all the blood squirt, the oxygenated blood that's still stuck in the heart, squirt and get to their brain, into their body. Okay? So you're saving their brain cells while they can't do that. Their heart can't do it themselves. Okay, so it's basically squirting into their brain. So anything you do is better than nothing. If you do CPR right, you actually will probably break a rib, and so that's okay. All right, because a broken rib heals okay for people, but if you're not breathing, then you're not going to be alive, right? So we got to do those things first. So don't worry about those kind of things. Yes, there's an amount of minutes and time that they want you to get right on your chest compressions and the depth and all the things. But doing anything at your old age is better than nothing. So if you're able to do some of this, then you're going to be helping, okay? Because you're going to help get extra oxygen to their brain that wasn't going to be there anyway. But anyway, I'm going to show you all real quick how to do hands-on CPR. So the heel of your hand is what you want to place right in between the breastline of their chest, okay? Right here, and you want to put the heel right in the middle, okay? So you put that down, then you can put your other hand over top. Now, if I start pushing from over here, I'm not going to be very good at it, okay? Because I don't have any weight on the top of the patient. So you want your arms locked. So they can't be like this. They're going to be locked and straight, okay? Arms locked Then you lean over the patient even further than you think you're going to lean over the patient. Okay? And then you start pushing straight down. And a lot of the pressure comes from the back of your heel and kind of your chest and your back than it does even in your arms. So you keep your arms straight and locked. And you see the green lights there? Those green lights show that you're going at the right depth and the right speed, and you're in the right spot on their chest to actually be getting the blood from their heart to your brain like you need you to. Okay? If you see it kind of bouncing, there'll be like a red light on there. You might not be deep enough. If you see there's a flashing yellow light on here, it means you're going too fast or too slow. Okay? So, but you want it to have those two green lights like you saw right here. Okay? So you push right up over the chest. You'll see the green lights. That means I'm going the right speed and consistency to be able to mimic what your heart normally does, a heartbeat normally does in like an adult patient. Okay? So if you all want to try, you're welcome to come up here and just line up one at a time. Why don't you all line up on this side over here? And you can come on down here, get on, kneel right here on the mat, and I'll help you get placed over there. So remember, heel, to the center, lock your arms, move over the patient, and start pushing through your heel. The back of the heel, You're getting close. There you go. See, it turned green. You're doing great. So if you get tired and you have someone else with you, you just take turns with them, but you don't want to come off of their chest until the next person's ready. Okay? So heel over top. There you go. Keep your hands on the chest. Don't pull them off. Okay, and you're going to push through the back here on your heel. Lean up over the top. Now go. A little bit further. Use your back. Keep your arms straight. Arms straight. You're getting close. We're trying to get still. All right. It's all right. As you get a little bit older, it'll be a little easier for you. But what you're doing is still going to be helpful. So right here, arms locked, over the top. Now push. Okay, keep your hands on there. Don't pull them off every time. Keep your hands on there. Okay? And just use your back a little bit. You're getting close. There, I was going to say, it's getting ready to go. Yep, you did it. Good job.
Hi, good morning everybody. So I'm Juliana and I'm a junior at Central Hardin High School. I'm Katie, I'm also a junior at Central Hardin High School. And my name's Reese and I go to North Hardin. So we're all in the health science pathway at EC3. So how many of y'all know what health science is? Nobody? It's kind of an odd thing. So health science is kind of like the classes you take when you want to go into healthcare. So it deals a lot with helping people and medicine and things like that. And so around you, you'll see things that we do in class to kind of help us prepare for and accelerate us in the healthcare field so that when we go into the healthcare field, when we're in college and things like that, we know what to do and when we go into a healthcare setting. So Reese is going to start us off.
All right, everybody. So this is a model of a knee. So we have a lot of these of different bones and muscles in our body so we can visualize what they look like and use them for tests and stuff. So actually, whenever your knee bends or like when you walk or something, this is what it looks like right here. Okay. So then, does everybody see this bone right here? Does anybody know what this is called?
Kneecap?
Correct, it is a kneecap. So can everybody point to their kneecap? Right, we all have kneecaps. But fun fact, you actually were not born with a kneecap. It didn't develop until you were about 18 months old. So if you guys have any like really like super baby younger siblings and they might not have a kneecap right now. But I promise you, looks like all of you guys have your kneecaps.
All right, so next over here we have Little Johnny. Little Johnny is a dummy that we use in class to help us when we are learning the Heimlich. How many of y'all know what the Heimlich is? You know? So the Heimlich is used for when people are choking. And it's really important to know how to do this, especially in clinical settings. I was actually in the nursing home working Tuesday, and it's really important to know how to do the Heimlich because typically your older people struggle with swallowing things because the muscles in their neck are not as strong anymore because as you get older, function decreases. And so it's really important, not just for elderly people, but for everybody in general, that you know how to perform the Heimlich in case somebody is choking. So Katie's going to show you really quickly how to do the Heimlich.
Okay, so you're going to take one of your fists and put it right above the belly button and take your other one and wrap it around. And you're just going to do upward thrusts until you get that food dislodged. Good job.
Alright, now we're going to come over here and we're going to show you this. So everybody arms, right? These veins. So somebody called a phlebotomist will typically come and take blood out of your veins, and they'll put it in this capsule. And this will be used to test for different diseases and things like that. And so phlebotomy is a class actually you can take in the health science pathway, HCEC-TV, and you get to practice phlebotomy. So what you'll do in class, you'll get to stick your classmates, your teachers, and so basically you'll take a needle. When I say stick, you'll take a needle, you'll get to insert it into their arm, and you'll draw blood. And so I'll show you a little bit quickly how that works. You'll take your needle out, and this is your arm, and you're gonna stick it, and you're gonna put it into the arm at an angle, and they're gonna take this capsule right here, put it in here, and hopefully it'll draw some blood. And you have this blood, you can go take it to a lab or wherever and test it for any disease that you need.
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the disease called diabetes, and it's where your body cannot function, where your body cannot regulate blood sugar correctly. And so insulin is something that we use to regulate that. And so a lot of times people who have diabetes can't, they need to know how much blood sugar they have so they know how much insulin to take. So this is a dummy finger, and then this is something that we use to prick our fingers, and I'm not going to do it today because I don't have enough to show everybody. But they would prick their finger, and then blood would, a little bit of blood would come out, and they're able to put it on a machine, and it tells how much blood sugar they have so that they can use insulin to regulate that. Yes. So how many of you have ever gotten a shot? I'm sure all of you have.
Keep your hand up if you like shots. Okay, go on.
So when you go to the doctors and you get your shots, they insert the needle at an angle, because if they inserted it straight away, then they would probably go too deep and hit bone, and that would hurt you even more than it already does. So they insert it at an angle, but they go in just deep enough so that they can get the medication or whatever they're inserting into your body throughout your body. So they insert it like that, and that's how they insert medications and also retract blood and things like that.
So we're going to go over here to this next one. And this is like what, I guess, a dummy leg. So this is kind of like your leg, your arm. And it's used in class in emergency procedures to practice in an emergency situation. So sometimes people, and this can happen, they could have a large laceration or cut or a small laceration or cut. And so in these emergency situations, if you have a big cut like this, it will start bleeding profusely. And when this happens, if you don't treat it or you don't pack the wound and stop it, it can bleed out and die. And so obviously you don't want that to happen. So what you would do is if someone was bleeding profusely and had this big laceration like this, you would take something to pack it with. In this case, we have gauze. And you would stuff it in here as much as you can. And you want to just fill it up as much gauze or whatever you have as you can, because you want to stop the bleeding and you want to stop it. You want to stop the bleeding. And that way, hopefully, it'll buy you some time until you can get to a hospital where they can treat it properly. So after you would pack it, you would wrap your bandage around it. Like this, and then once you wrapped it, this would help, like I said, buy you some time until you could get to a hospital where they could treat it properly. And just like that. Alright, so we're gonna all swing this way. How many of y'all have seen one of these? I'd say all of you have probably seen one of these before. It's a stethoscope. So doctors use these to listen to your heart, right? So do you guys really know what they're listening to when they listen to your heart, or do you just think they just do it to what do you think they're listening to? They're listening to your heartbeat, but what do you think they're looking for?
To see if it says and sing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So they'll listen to your heartbeat to check for abnormal rhythms, or if your heart's beating too fast or too slow. So obviously if your heart has an abnormal rhythm, it can be really bad for you. So when a doctor listens to your heart, they're listening to see if the rhythm's correct, if it's beating properly, and if it's not beating too slow or too fast. Next, and the final thing we have to show is this baby. How many of you know what CPR is? How many of you know how to do CPR on an adult? Where you have like this and you like pump their chest.
Did you guys just do that?
Did you just do that? Yeah, a lot of people have. So the CPR on a baby is just a little bit different because you can't do this. That's not good for the baby.
It's gonna crush their ribs.
It would. So what you would do if a baby were to start needing CPR, you would take your hands like this, and your positioning like this would be like this, and you would sit on a table, and you would only use your thumbs for CPR. So you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you would do CPR on the baby, but the compression rate is the same. It's 30 to 2, so you would do 30 compressions, and then give the baby 2 breaths, and then repeat compressions. And just like that, that's how you do CPR on a baby. Super simple. So now that we've kind of showed you guys everything, we're going to let you guys do the Heimlich on little Johnny over here. Little Johnny loves his hot dogs, so he's going to eat a hot dog, and y'all are going to get to do the Heimlich. So does I have any volunteers who wants to go first? You right there, you want to go first? Little Johnny.
He's been eating them all day. Second. So you're gonna take one fist, good, and you put it a little lower down here. Yes. And then you're gonna take the other hand and put it on top. There you go. You can take it off the table.
Save him. Come on,
Come on,
just
you're
save
gonna
him.
lean
Yes.
forward a little bit and then
Save
me
him.
hot dog.
Upward thrust. Good.
Good job.
All right, who wants to go next? You have your hand up before. You want to come up and do it?
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for us about the pathway or about anything you've seen here today?
Will a shot be able to help with the covering of the leg?
Well, what help?
A shot.
A shirt?
A shirt.
Yes.
If you don't have anything else, then a shirt's what you're gonna have to use.
It's very, in those situations, you don't always have gauze and things, so it's really what you have to use your resources.
Anything that can soak up the blood, yeah.
So could I just put like a paper towel in there and then wrap a belt around it?
I mean,
A belt. Some people actually do use a belt, but that's more to cut off like the circulation and stuff. Not circulation. Not circulation.
This is a tourniquet.
Yeah.
Like, a belt is usually, people use a belt as a tourniquet. But you just want to make sure that you stuff it as full as you can with whatever you can find, and that way to hopefully help with the blood. And then also, when that happens, you want to make sure you get on the phone with 911 as fast as you can. Call them and make sure that way while you can get them to the hospital as fast as you can, because obviously the best treatment will be at the hospital. This is just to help until they get to the hospital.
How long do they have to survive if that happens?
It
It
depends
on the injury.
It depends on how big it is. Obviously, if it's the bigger laceration, it could happen faster. If it's smaller, it could take longer. It also depends on where, what's injured. Like if you hit an artery or what you hit. Because like if you, a bigger artery or things like that, and if that breaks or bursts, you have a lot more issues because you'll bleed out a lot faster. So it varies depending on it. Any more questions for us? About the EC3 or about middle school? You're about to go into middle school. That's exciting.
We have a lot of experience with middle school.
Yeah, actually we did COVID. Yeah,
That doesn't count.
What?
Have y'all ever had to use that method on yourself or something? Not like that.
Use what?
no.
That? I've never personally had to pack a wound before that was because someone actually needed to pack a wound. I know that our emergency procedures teacher, he's had to do it before. So it depends on the person and things like that. We also haven't had enough experience in being able to do something like that. But I'm sure if we stay in the healthcare field, it will happen eventually, especially depending on what field you go into. All right, so come up here, and you pick someone else to help you do. So you can come in front of me. I'll do it with you. So when we do this, make sure to stay very quiet because it's kind of hard to hear sometimes. We want to make sure everybody can hear it. You're gonna put this, you can put it in your ears. You know how to do that. So I'll put it up right here and tell me if you can hear it.
Okay, if someone wants to come up,
Hear my heartbeat?
here.
You ready to hear me? Awesome. That's what a heartbeat sounds like. That's what your
Okay,
heartbeat sounds
it's
like.
really hard to hear, so you have to listen very carefully.
All right, I can get somebody else to come up here.
Yeah. Here. Okay. Here, if you want to put those in. Just like that. Okay, so good. It's really quiet, so you have to listen.
It's quiet. Your heartbeat sounds like. If you were when your doctor listens.
You hear it?
Somebody else, you want to come up? Is that in your ears? You can hear it? That's what your heartbeat sounds like.
You ready? Here. So it's very quiet, and it's not going to sound as
We'll
loud.
take
You
one
would think
more
it sounds loud, but it doesn't sound very loud. Do you hear it? Yeah, it's a little quiet, but it's there. Anybody else want to listen? That's cool, isn't it?
All right. So we really appreciate you guys being really good listeners.
Here.
Thank you for your time.
So I am Mr. Thompson. I work at the Early College and Career Center. We have about 13 different pathways of things you might be able to do. It is designed for high school students that come from North Hardin, John Hardin, and Central Hardin. I will let you know, as an 8th grader, all 8th graders come over for a day, and you'll get to see all of our classrooms, all of our labs, all of that stuff, and maybe get a better idea of what you want to do. And again, it might be something that you just want to learn about. We have students that take culinary classes, and all they want to do is learn how to cook. Other people take, and we're going to talk about welding here shortly, they want to make an entire career out of it. So we just give you guys as many options as we can so that you can make the decision that best fits you. So the first thing I want to talk about is welding. So welding is taking very high temperatures and either putting metal together or cutting metal apart. Now when I say high temperatures, what I'm talking about are 2,600 to 2,800 degrees. So hot that it could burn you before your brain registers that it's even hot. So safety is always one of our important things. When you're dealing with things that are 2,600 degrees, you can't just pick it up and hold it forever inside these gloves. They're padded, heat-resistant gloves. But you can hold it for about 5 seconds or so, and then the heat will start to come through. But we have clamps and other stuff that we use to move metal from one place to another. But if you just had to adjust it a little bit, your hands will protect it. Now, I said we get a new pair every year, and the reason is that this is what happens to the gloves as they get used over and over and over again. Actually, the tips of them become very, very hard because the metal actually melts down what's inside of that, and then when it cools back to being pretty hard. So we have to use those. Now, we also have to use a safety mask. So our safety mask, if I look through it, it looks like I'm wearing some green shaded sunglasses, and you can see all that. Now, within 1/25,000th of a second that it detects a bright light, which is what welding arcs do, this goes almost completely black. And all I can see then is a white dot and about 3 or 4 inches around it. So I know what I'm working with. Because if you don't wear one of these and you looked into a welding arc for about 20 to 30 seconds, you could actually cause permanent eye damage. So, and again, it has to be a long period of time, but we use our masks all the time to save us from any injuries like that. So the types of welds that we do, this one here was a 90-degree angle weld. They had to weld that one. Then they took 2 separate pieces of metal and they had to weld those together. We then had to cut a hole in this plate, stick the pipe in it, and then weld the pipe in there. And actually what this is a job interview. So this up here says Altec. Altec is one of our corporate sponsors, and we send students over there all the time to work for them. Well, when they come in, they say, here's some metal and some welding equipment, make this. And so they have to make this. So we're able to kind of teach our students how to do that. But we also do some other types of welding. So this is actually made from a box that we got all of our welding rods from. And all of the pedals on the very inside had to be individually welded in there. Then once it was all done, we were able to spray paint it and kind of show it off. Culinary is another program that we have. Culinary is great because that's cooking. And so you learn how to cook, and if you want to stay in a restaurant, well, we can certainly help you in that path. But cooking is something you're going to need to do the rest of your life. So this is called a dough hook. This is one that like you could have at home. We have several of these. Last week we had pizza, and you can make about 3 pizza crusts from using this dough hook in the bowl that it fits in. You have to add flour and water and a couple of other things. But at EC3, we use this dough hook. Now, the mixer that this attaches to is so heavy we have to keep it on the ground. But again, using the same flour, water, and a couple of other things, we can make a lot of pizza crusts. 3 pizza crusts, 34 pizza crusts. So if your kitchen or your job was a pizza restaurant, this would be the one that you would want to use. Now, other things, so when you're cooking, you need to make sure that both sides of what you're cooking are being cooked properly. So this kind of is a show-off move, but it also saves some time. So we have to teach students how to flip their food. And we do that by using coins. And you can flip them high and low, and then if you really want to show off, you take several different coins and you flip through that. But you do need to turn your food, and this actually happens a lot faster if I do it really quickly with food in there, and it's able to cook so I can continue working on some other part. Now we're going to get to video production. Obviously there's a camera in here. He's a former student of ours, is now working for the station. And so one of the first things that the students have to do is actually they have to make a PSA 30 seconds long. So they have to write a script. They have 2 other friends that are going to be their actors. And so they will act out this part. It takes about 2 hours worth of film, and then they have to cut it all down and make it 30 seconds. But then the other actors are also, they're doing the same thing. So a group of 3 will make 3 different productions. Then we get into bigger ones. So I don't know if you guys have heard of the Giants at Bernheim. We were able to go up there on the day that they were being built, and we had the architect there. And so it was a February morning. We got up there, we were able to talk to him, interview him, showed us like the inspiration behind them, but then also how they were building them. We took about 4 hours worth of film, cut it down to 4 minutes, and PBS, who is Public Broadcasting System, who is across the country, they bought it from us and showed it off, and then our students that made that actually ended up getting a very prestigious award in that. But other things that they do, they shoot live events, like I announce sporting events. We do city council meetings, we do parades, but we also do other things for certain schools. So I don't know if you will recognize this person that's on here that we did for an opening. We did opening day here at Creekside. And so we had to take this, after they did the interviews, they interviewed a couple of other people. We go back to our shop, they inserted some music, they had to cut all of the interviews together. They added the graphics. You can see her name down in the bottom left-hand corner. And so those are types of things that we get to do with our video production group. This has to do with pulleys. You'll see this a lot more when you get into science, okay? And how one motor that is turning actually can turn other things a lot easier through a pulley system. This happens in your car. So you have one little motor and it's able to work 5 different things so that you don't have to have 5 other motors to work everything off. Being efficient is very important inside of an engine because you only have so much space for your vehicle. Next thing I want to talk about is engineering. Everything you have has been engineered at some point or another. Okay, this table. So there was a table that was made, and there was a teacher that said, I have smaller students, I need to lower the table. How are we going to do that? So somebody took it upon themselves, they drilled holes in the legs, added some screws, and they were able to move the table up and down. Watches, how it works, eyeglasses, how they work. Everything you have, tennis shoes, all of that stuff had to be engineered, okay? So this is supposed to be a box. Now, does this look like much of a box? No. Not at all. This is a block of wood that a student made a computer program, and we have what's called a CNC machine that will go in and will cut all of these little shapes out for it. Now, what happens is, after you cut this piece in half, right down here, and we cut off a little bit more, you end up with this, which is a trinket box. Now, why did we make it back to back to begin with? It has to do with waste. If I made each of these individually, I would have a lot more wood that I'd have to cut off, and it wouldn't be as cost efficient. So making it this way is more efficient. That has to do with engineering. So we're able to make that. We have different sides we can make. This looks like a sprocket. We also get to use 3D printers. Now 3D printers like having a piece of fishing wire that we heat up and then we're able to kind of mold into what we want to do. This is a propeller for an underwater drone that a student was making so they could look under their dock or into their boat to see how things were working. If I were to buy this piece, metal, and make it all right, it's $26. I made this for 19 cents. It took me about 4 hours to make this. But when we were going through this underwater drone, we didn't know exactly what the best propeller would be. So we made propellers that had long blades on them. We had some that were wide. We had a 4-blade propeller. We had a 5-blade propeller. How does it work most efficiently? And once we developed the one that we thought worked the best, then we paid the $26 and got the metal one, and we're able to use that. This was a housing for a motor that we could put the propeller onto. So the engineering part of this was to make it easier. We went a less expensive, quicker route until we had everything that we needed. One of our next ones is residential maintenance. So we do wood construction, which is building like frames for houses and so on. Then we have electrical, so a power source comes in. We have wires that go to both sides of this, runs up. We have a light switch. All of this works. If we took down the lights and showed everything up here, they all work kind of the same way. We take questions at the end, all right? We also have plumbing. We also have heat, HVAC, which is heat and air conditioning. And next year we're going to have plumbing. So the last station we're going to talk about today is aviation. So aviation is flight. Now, one of the first things that the students have to do is they have to build a wing. So this is it's a light wood plastic thing over it. We apply some heat and kind of shrink wraps to it. And then we have a wind tunnel that can blow up to about 78 miles an hour. You stick your wing in there. If it flies off, it's made correctly. If it doesn't fly off, you have to make some adjustments to it. So I'm going to show you how a plane that is so big, that is so heavy, actually gets off the ground. All right? So, not a trick question. I take this piece of paper, I put it above my lips, and I blow out. Will the piece of paper go up?
Yes.
Yeah, it goes up. Okay, so I'm going to put it between my lips, not clamp down on it, but between my lips. If I blow, will the piece of paper go up?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if I put it under my lips, will the piece of paper go up?
No. Go down. What?
So here's how flight happens.
Awesome.
This wing only flies in the air. It can't get off the ground. This wing gets off the ground, and here's the reason. Air particles are in love with each other. They come in pairs. It bangs into the front of this wing. They get split apart, but they want to meet back at the end at the exact same time. So as they split apart, they're coming across here. The one across the top has a longer distance to go. So in order for it to be there at the exact same time, it must go faster. So the principle is the air over the top of the wing has to go faster than the air under the wing, and it causes the wings to lift up, which then pulls the rest of the plane up. So again, the air on top has to be faster than the air below. And that's what makes the plane or the wings go up. All right, one of our last thing that we're going to discuss today, we have drones.
Drone? Awesome.
We have all sorts of drones. This is one of our medium-sized ones. This one's about $700. We have small ones that fit into like a box like this size. It's called micro drones. We have much bigger ones. We have one that comes in a suitcase, and what it does, it actually has a heat sensor on it. It's really cool. You can see a lot of stuff. So the best part is if it was a hot day, you could have the air that blows on you and could cool you off. On our So on our drones, and on this one, we don't use it on here, but there's a camera on here. And we are able to use the cameras for different things. When we make some videos, we made a video a few years ago, it was our opening day. We had a drone, had a camera on it. We flew it through the back door, around the school building, out the front door, and then all the way back over top of the building. And then our video students took it and made it into an actual video. And we had teachers that were waving to them. We had some graphics and music and stuff like that. So it has a lot of use.